basically on what I was talking about. When it comes to reading comprehension, it is not about finding the right answers. Always keep that in your head. It is about striking off as many wrong answers as you can. Okay, so the reason why we say that is because most often what happens is that when four options are given to you, students have a look at your options, and once you strike off your first option, you obviously come down to your second one, and the moment you feel like, okay, this can be my answer, you just go forward and mark it as your right answer. Now, only the student who have gone through the third and fourth option would understand that, okay, there are a couple of other options which could have the chance of becoming your answers, because that is a quite common scenario. Okay, which is there are scenarios where a couple of questions would have options which kind of looks like answers, as in a couple of options which kind of looks like answers. Okay, so the best thing that we do is read across all of your options, strike off as many options that you think is wrong, and work with the rest. Do you understand that? Can I get a thumbs up? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes. So I hope that part is clear. Another thing is always, always, always believe what your passage is talking about. As in, we always have a lot of preconceived information about a particular topic. Okay. Which is, even if it is related to agriculture, or let's say whatever the topic is, we always have a lot of information about a particular topic. But make sure that you do not use your preconceived information in this particular uh, passage that is given to you. Okay, let's say if your passage says the color of human blood is yellow, and then you've got the options red and yellow. What would be your answer? Is it going to be red, or is it going to be yellow? What is the color of human blood? What would be your answer? Is it going to be red, or is it going to be yellow? Can I get an answer?
Hello, ma'am.
Yellow, yes. Why? Because we always believe whatever your passage is talking about, right? So again, that's the second thing that you have to keep in your mind, which is believe what your passage is talking about. Because first things first, why is a reading comprehension given to you? Reading comprehensions are given to you in order to understand the fact if you're able to understand a particular comprehension, as in if you're able to comprehend around a particular comprehension. Okay. Now, if you are a student who would not read the passage properly, let's say you have just read the passage, bits and parts of your passage, and then when you come down to a question, when you see a very simple question given to you, obviously we will go and mark, let's say, red as your answer. Okay. Now, with that particular answer, it is very clear to them that you do not comprehend the particular comprehension given to you. So we don't want them to think like that. Always believe whatever your passage is given you. Okay. Third thing, make sure that you are not reading your passage in such a way that you're not competing with the passage, as in do not read your passage extremely quickly. Okay, because nobody is going to give you marks for reading your passage extremely quickly. Read it in a pace that is comfortable for you. Okay, now if you feel that your reading speed is very low, what I would suggest is that keep an optimal eye level, because whenever you're focusing on a particular passage, we tend to come very close to the particular passage, and then we read word by word. Okay, and then we try to understand the meaning of each and every word. That is not what we're looking for. First thing, keep an optimal eye level so that you can read at least 4 to 5 words in one look. Okay, so that is how you increase your reading speed. For example, when you're reading a newspaper, you might have noticed the fact that when you're keeping it extremely close to your eyes, we read it extremely slow. That is not what we're looking for. Yes, we need speed, right? But speed is not all that matters. You have to comprehend it quickly, which is you have to understand it quickly. So make sure that you do not read something extremely quickly, and then you get the chance where you might have to come back to the passage multiple times. That is not what you're looking for. Make sure that you at least read it once, where you understand at least 80% of what is happening. Okay, so that you do not spend a lot of time coming back to your passage, going back to your questions, reading your option, again coming back to your question. It is going to be very tiring. You are going to spend a lot of time with one question. Okay. So what I generally suggest student is finish off your questions, especially in verbal ability, finish it off with at least 45 seconds. That is what I generally suggest. You can take up to 1 minute, but what I generally suggest is take 45 seconds, because if you finish up your answers between 45 seconds, you will have time to do the rest of your questions given to you, right? You will have time for questions where you're supposed to think. Right? When it comes to reasoning and all, you will have enough time to think. So just make sure that you do not spend a lot of time here. Okay. Fourth thing, you come across a passage which you feel is not very simple for you, as in the topic given to you is not very simple for you, or let's say the kind of words used in your passage is not too simple for you. What I would suggest is just wait. Okay, because if you feel that something is too difficult for you, especially if it is reading comprehension, just pause it there and move forward to the next question. I'm not asking you to skip the question. Okay, what I'm asking you is to pause and leave the question there and come back once you're done with all of the other questions that you know, because you don't want to waste all of your time with a question that you're not so familiar with, and leave out the other questions that you know. Right. So I know that you're very well familiar with all of these strategies, but I don't want to miss on any of these things, so that you get a good result. Okay. So just keep all of these things in mind. We have a lot of other things to discuss too, but I just don't want to make you feel extremely bored. We'll get to all of these things, right?
So let's start now. First of all, how to approach every question. So for the IBPS AFO exam that is coming in the next coming days, there is just few more days are there. So how to approach each question. So that is what we need to discuss first. So first of all, you should have exact concept for every question. That is, every question you should have the clear concepts, because sometimes the questions are meaningless. For example, if we are considering syllogism, the questions will be not based on the known facts. For example, I'm giving one question. So suppose some statements are given, like the statements, just let us take dogs are some dogs are fools. Then the second statement is, all fools are cat. Like that, two statements, let us say two statements are given. Then the question will be about the conclusion. The question will be about the conclusion. So the conclusion can be easily identified by just considering or just taking the statement given in the questions are as true. For example, some dogs are fools. Everybody knows the syllogism I'm expecting. So all of you might have seen the videos and all. So some dogs are fools means we need to have a two set. The first set is dog, and the second set is fool. And we have the second statement, all fools are cat. So all fools should be inside the set called cat. So we can easily draw it likewise, because we can say that if cat is the bigger set, the fool will be inside that that cat. So what is the conclusion, or what are the conclusion we can draw from this particular problem? So we can say that some cat are dog, some cat are dog. So that is the first thing we can have. And also we can have some other conclusions, like all dogs can be cat. All dogs can be cat. How? If the cat set is somewhat bigger, like this, then this all the dog can be inside cat, but that is not a necessary condition. It can sometimes happen. So that is the conditions we can say. So likewise, whatever be the given statements is having, we need to consider that to be true. So that is the approach we should have. So concept is very much important. And also we should have some shortcut. So we have already discussed some shortcut for most of the topics. I'm expecting all of you might have remember that. And for syllogism and all, sometimes for the reverse syllogism and all, we have considered positive statement or positive conclusion only. Then we have to go for positive statement. Negative conclusion and positive means we should have to go for the statement which is having both the conclusions. So I'm talking about reverse syllogism, where the conclusion will be given in the question. We need to find the statement, but that is very 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 unlikely for your exam. But sometimes it can ask, because that is also part of the syllogism. But in the case of syllogism, we can say that either, some, all, no kind of statements we have seen. So sometimes if the questions are sometimes either is coming, we have mentioned one trick. What was the trick? If the two statement is having same two element for the two statement, here dog, fool, here fool, then we are having, instead of cat, we are having some dog statement as well. So in that case only we will have to go for either. So that kind of statement we have mentioned in the class. And also, if you know the shortcut, then it will be very easy. Then we can go for some examples and exam strategy.
What do you people think? Like whether the change in the pattern is good or bad? Yes, Harita?
I think it's good, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely good, because like we all know, like during the previous time, like when you people were attending the prelims examination, there we need to focus mainly on quantitative reasoning and English, and there was what sectional cutoff, like for each of the sections there was individual cutoff, right? And for overall there was another cutoff. So many students was facing the problem that they will be clearing the individual cutoff, but coming to the overall cutoff, they will be facing the problem. Main problem is that they will be not qualifying the overall cutoff. So now the thing is, by addition of that professional knowledge section, that is mainly like we all are agriculture graduates, right? So we all know the basics of agriculture. That is, we already studied during the 4 years during the BSc. We already covered almost all the agriculture topics, and we already prepared for mains examination. So here you can see there are 25 questions, and that for 50 marks. So that will be improving our cutoff, like a cutoff, the overall cutoff we can easily clear through attending maximum questions in the professional knowledge. Okay, and the time for each section is 20 marks. I think you are all aware of this thing. And there is negative mark. That is also important. There is negative mark for each questions, and that is 1/4 of the mark will be deducted. So while attending the professional knowledge, you should be careful, because like you have to read each questions and each words like carefully, because that will be a little bit tricky. Okay, so coming to the mains exam, we know like during the previous section, there was only professional knowledge, like only agriculture was asked in the mains examination. But here we need to study more reasoning, quantitative, English language also, and the descriptive paper was also there. Like 2 questions will be from the descriptive paper, and in the descriptive section, the questions can be from anywhere. That is, it can be from the current affairs, it can be related to the agriculture, or it can be related to anything. And mainly in the descriptive paper, you all know, they will not be evaluating your knowledge. They will be just seeing whether there is any grammatical mistake, whether the sentence formation is right, or whether there is any spelling mistakes. That all will be checked, okay? So no need to worry in that. And so here is the main difference that I just highlighted the main difference in the old pattern and the new pattern. So we know in the old pattern, there were 150 questions for 120 minutes. And in the new pattern, there is 100 questions for 80 minutes. And in the prelims, during the old pattern, we know there were only quantitative reasoning and English, but here professional knowledge is also added. So that is a really big plus point for us, okay? So we should be happy. We should be happy for that. And in the mains, there is only professional knowledge during the old pattern, but here the quantitative reasoning and English and also descriptive writing is added in the main section. So these were the vacancies that were reported. So we know at the time of release of the notification, there were 190 vacancies. So you can see the Indian Bank, UCO Bank, and Union Bank of India doesn't reported their vacancies at that time. And recently, during the last month, Indian Bank has released the vacancies as 180. Okay, so that means already 180 vacancies were there, and around 180 vacancies was again released. So the total became 370. Okay, and you can see Union Bank and UCO Bank not yet released the number of vacancies. Okay, no, they doesn't reported the number of vacancies. So we can expect the vacancy can go up to 500 or 500 plus. Okay, so no need to worry of by thinking of the number of vacancies. Okay, there will be enough vacancies. So just don't worry of the number of vacancies. Okay.
So 80 minutes, 100 question means if you have 100 minutes, then 1 minute for one question is an ideal choice. But unfortunately, you are not getting 1 minute. Okay, that's the key thing you need to know before writing this exam, particularly this exam. Okay, you are not at all, because you need to solve 100 questions, but you will get only 80 minutes. So when we divide this 100 question within 80 minutes, you will get 80 per question. How many minutes we are actually getting means it is actually 80 divided by 100. Appo 80 divided by 100 means it is 0.8. Okay, so 0.8 minutes means how many seconds? 0.8 minutes means you are not getting 1 minute. 0.8 is less than 1. Analo. So 0.8 minutes means when you convert it into seconds, you have to multiply it with the 6. Okay, so 8 into 6 means 48. Analo, 6 into 8 48. Okay, that means you are roughly getting 48 seconds. So I am converting to the next 0th digit, that is 50 seconds. Okay, that you are just getting 50 seconds. It's not actually getting 50, but okay, I am rounding off the digit. Okay, for better understanding, you are just getting 50 seconds. 50 seconds ആണ് ഒരു question solve ചെയ്യാൻ കിട്ടുന്നത് എന്ന് തിരിച്ചറിയുക. Okay, that's a key thing you need to understand before writing or before planning anything to attend the exam. Okay, about 15 minutes. You as of now you think that you will get 50 seconds to solve a question. Means it is not to solve a question, it is actually to approach a question. Solving a question and approaching a question is exactly different. Why? Because solving means you read the question, question and you assimilated the content. A question what we need to find out we already understood. Then we are just taking some pen and paper and we are solving it. That is solving. Solving means after reading the question, when you take your pen, that moment onwards solving starts. Okay, but what do you mean by approaching a question? Approaching a question means when you start reading a question, that second onwards approaching starts. ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യനെ വായിച്ച് തുടങ്ങുമ്പോൾ തൊട്ടാണ് അപ്രോച്ചിങ് തുടങ്ങുന്നത്. Did you get the difference? അപ്പോൾ ഇത് തമ്മിൽ ഡിഫറൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പം here you are getting 50 seconds to approach a question, not to solve a question. Okay, because one question, when we divide it with 100, when we divide that 100 question with 80, you are getting 48 to 50 seconds to approach a question. That is, question read in 50 seconds we will start counting. Okay, so from 50 to read a question. One question why can 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds will take. From that 50 seconds, we will take 15 seconds to read it. So we need to eliminate, subtract that from effective solving time. So we subtract that 15 from 50, we'll get a 35 seconds. Okay, that means you are getting 50 seconds to approach a question and 35 seconds to solve a question. Difference ningal തിരിച്ചറിയണം. മനസ്സിലായോ?